Welcome into Hand Raise Guys, here a little earlier than usual on Thursday, December the 12th. I'm Neal McCready. That's Chase Parham in the Clark Ford Studios. Welcome into the show. As always, we are brought to you by our good friends at Comer Heating and Air. What did I do? Something wrong?
No, you're good.
Okay. I didn't know. My mind is sort of scattered a little bit everywhere, dealing with a lot of things that I've heard, trying to maneuver things, got stuff going on. One of my daughters told me something I'm interested in. So I got things happening in my brain right now, and there's not a lot of room for.
You should journal. Write it all down.
I could journal.
You should journal.
I could journal, but that would take time.
New Year's resolution, journal.
All right, we're gonna get to that in a minute because I'm curious what would the benefits of journaling be.
All right.
Do you journal?
I've tried at times. Go ahead and go ahead. Read the things, and then we'll.
I'm stalling a little because I'm trying to get that.
Sorry.
That's all right. We're brought to you by our friends at Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. Different names, but it's the same great people, products, and services. If you live in Oxford, Batesville, Tupelo, or the surrounding area, call Comer, 662-801-1777. If you live in Hernando, Memphis, or the surrounding area, call Southern, 662-429-4429. I mentioned that we're in the Clark Ford Studios. We are. Clark Ford is in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900. Call that number. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. I do like the hat. It's kind of seasonal.
It's good, isn't it? Yeah.
If you put a red nose on it, it would be Christmassy.
Well, I know a guy who work on that.
Yeah.
See what we can accomplish.
It would look like Rudolph.
It would, yes. I think it's Donner Blitzen.
Is that right?
Do you have a favorite reindeer?
I mean, other than Rudolph?
Does he count?
Yeah, because Rudolph overcame a lot of adversity.
What year did Rudolph come aboard? Because when you see the really early stories, there is no Rudolph. So what year apparently did Rudolph need his nose so bright?
I'm going to guess sometime in the 70s maybe.
That recent.
When they did the cartoon?
Oh, okay. So not back in the olden days. He's relatively young.
I think it's a relatively new thing.
Okay.
I mean, he's young. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
he is young. I know. Hold on. Be cool.
You don't need Jackson or from Hattiesburg listening and screwing up the.
He would be the one that would be probably my favorite just because of his story. He overcame a lot. Got bullied.
He did.
Got picked on. I mean, they didn't let him play the reindeer games because of the way he looked.
So Santa let the other reindeer pick on Rudolph.
It toughened him up. And then there came that magic moment, right? Hey, we're going to have some help tonight. And who came to the rescue? Like, that had
to call back. Just give us some.
Yeah, just hang tight. We got to finish doing some things. Hang tight. We'll get to you.
Okay.
But yeah, it's got to be Rudolph. Clark Ford, 662-257-1900. Call that number. Ask for Corey. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. It's right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. Get your quote. The rest is up to you. 662-257-1900. Guest, you guys can call in. It'll be a short show today, so if you're going to call, be like our guy here and call on in. On the Campbell Clinic Hotline, from fractures and sports injuries to complex spine and limb conditions, the pediatric orthopedic physicians at Campbell Clinic in Oxford are the only specialized orthopedic team in North Mississippi providing expert care for growing bodies. Visit campbellclinicoxford.com to schedule an appointment or call 901-759-3111. And Chase, this will be the Friday Blue Sky Live. Please tell the folks about Blue Sky.
Yeah, lunch specials, $5.69, couple sides of bread, any size fountain drink. If you're coming to town this weekend or at any point, you can check them out. Sweet Daddy's locations all over the state of Mississippi. They'll hook you up with ribs, pulled pork, side items, and plenty more there with Blue Sky. And again, Sweet Daddy's locations all over the state of Mississippi.
I know I should know this. Paris Wilkins is the offensive lineman from...
I was looking at that.
Charlotte. He apparently, according to Paris Wilkins, has just committed to Ole Miss.
Okay. Get to him.
I'll take his word for it. Go ahead, caller.
How y'all doing tonight or this afternoon?
We're lovely. What's up?
Oh, wonderful. Quick question, Chase, Neal, y'all might know this. I just talked to my uncle today. Is there any plans to monetize the Grove next year?
Next year, probably not. I have a hard time getting that. I mean, it's gonna piss off a lot of people. I'm not saying you should.
Well,
at some point, I'm not saying
they told the vendors something about that. They said don't sell anything until we have our meeting in December. And I wonder, could they, if they did, could they bundle this into a collective deal, or is that actually illegal for the university to be taking money that way?
I do not know the answer to that second half of that question. Keith got in trouble is the wrong word. He did an interview a few years ago where they had the Grove plotted on a board behind him while he was talking. And I know it's been some form of a conversation at times, but if that is going into place for next season, maybe you know more than I do. I am not aware of that. I would not want to be answering the customer support phone lines the day or two that went active. Let's put it that way. But I mean, look.
Well, for me, they're already
in
paying
today's
for it
world.
anyway. I mean,
nothing is off the table. Nothing. Yeah. But
I
don't like that. I think that corporate's something that does not need to be corporate.
Well, and I understand, but it already is corporate. I mean, you've already got tons of people making a lot of money off of it. The university might as well make a little bit. Now, I'm not. I would hate to have to pay an extra fee, but to me, really, I mean, they got to find money somewhere. I mean, and I don't. My other question that I had was football wise, with the payroll that they had this year, did we still make money as a university football wise?
Well, those are two different things. I mean, yes, the football program made money, and even if you put the collective in there, yes, they would have made money. But your question on how to extrapolate that out, and I mean, I could look. I haven't looked this up. Would be what did the Ole Miss Athletics Foundation bring in versus former years, and then what did the collective raise? Because the money that went to the collective, most of that would have been either money that didn't exist and didn't go anywhere because some people wouldn't give to that they do give to this, but then a lot of it was money that would have been rerouted into the foundation for facilities and salaries and operations and all the things like the old days. So it really wouldn't be an athletic department. What did football do? My interesting question would be, what did OMAF's books look like in donations, compared to previous seasons? And I don't know, but yeah, I mean, look, they took a hit because. I mean, the thing about this is a lot of the Ole Miss Athletics Foundation are the ones that are, raising a lot of money for this. I mean, they take a very hands-on approach and being the people that are facilitating the donations to the collective.
Well, I'm not going to stay on too long, but
instead of, hey, give to the stadium, hey, give to the collective.
Yeah. If y'all hear anything about monetization of the Grove, let us know. Because, I mean, I know that there's a meeting next week. I do know that. But it's either next week or the next. I doubt it'd be the week of Christmas, but they're supposedly with all the vendors. They told them not to sell anything until this meeting takes place.
Oh, interesting. So, yeah, okay. I'll check in it.
All right, now. Yep. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good afternoon.
Yes, if you're a customer support person that would be answering the calls after that, go ahead and take that week off because somebody who's had their spot in the Grove for 40 years suddenly getting charged whatever the hell that would be for half the space.
I'm pretty out of touch with that scene. That's why I sort of stay out of that conversation. I don't really know.
A lot of people would just pay it and be annoyed by it and still do it, but I don't know how you do the function of letting someone get the spot they've always gotten. And now look, there's a lot of people out there who go, why should they get the spot? Because they always have it. And I get it. I'm just saying that would
in certain spots would be more expensive than other spots, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. You'd have to, like a stadium. This is this. This is this. Mm-hmm. I mean, it would look like a Ticketmaster deal. So, yeah, 100%. Yes, P.J. Wilkins, offensive lineman from Charlotte there. That is correct. No, you to answer your question about journaling. Yeah, I mean, we've tried at times. I mean, you write stuff down. There's two different kinds of journaling. There's journaling of just kind of jotting down your day, jotting down kind of what you got to do tomorrow, organization journaling. And then there's emotional journaling. Those are two completely different things. I saw somebody in the stream say that they really enjoy journaling. It's underrated to get your feelings on paper helps. Also helps to go back and read how far you've come from certain things. I get that. I get that completely. I've never really tried a bunch of that, but as far as like organization of, hey, I did this today, this went well, this didn't go well. Hey, here's kind of what I need to do tomorrow. Yeah, I think that there's a certain invaluable thing to do that at the end of the day potentially.
All right, Micah Pettis. What did other people write today? Apparently, this is
why are we doing this?
Well, because it's a topic, and I'm curious.
Okay. Real quick, Stacy, I don't know that. She says, wait, what? We're losing our Grove spots. We've had the same place on the Walk of Champions for 10 years that we've already paid dearly for, because you have to pay to make sure somebody gets spots set up for you and the whole thing. I mean, you're not paying the university, but yes, you are paying premium to make sure that spot is secure.
When I say I'm totally out of touch with the Grove, I have absolutely no idea how that works.
Yeah, you pay people to set up there for you.
Like a day ahead?
I mean, you pay them for the season, and they know that's where they're supposed to get for you. So when the gun goes off, they run and put that spot up for you with your tents and whatnot.
What's that cost?
I mean, it varies. We did it even back when I was in college, but I'm sure it's way more expensive now, and competitive. I mean, I've got buddies that make a lot of money doing tailgate companies. 7 South, use them. We have them for years. Yeah. So it's a paid tent company. Yeah, they make sure they're in your spot.
Oh, okay.
Here's the deal on Micah. People are using the verbiage "kicked off," and that's what's causing some of the rub here.
That's one of the stories.
It's the wrong verbiage.
Yes,
but
it's not only wrong; it's unfair. Come on, that's unfair. That's a little more complicated than that.
Well, I don't know why he's the target on this, because for you, look, this is more complicated than even your normal processing situation. But everybody's always said processing or they're just leaving. But suddenly, like one site today kept using the term kicked off. And it's like, oh, screw off. Because Micah Pettis and Ole Miss both needed to go their separate ways moving forward.
Yes.
Literally both of them.
Yes.
Micah had a contract that was going to pay him for the bowl game to play. And yet, that's everybody. We talked about this on the board today. Quick sidebar.
Sure.
You wrote this in a message board post. It is not indicative that Ole Miss had bad culture because of this happened.
No.
But it's not indicative that they, by God, just loved each other immensely and they have to play one more game. Just like the stupid-ass Alabama media is doing it today, too.
Yep.
A couple of my really good friends in media, oh, this just shows you Alabama's culture. It's like, no, it doesn't. It shows you that Ole Miss and Alabama were cutting edge on making collective contracts that are backloaded, meaning it makes sure players stay through the season because they get more money, and their bowl payment is larger than their payments throughout the season in any one payment.
It's being ahead of the curve and learning from what happened to Florida State last year.
Yes.
That's it. People like to get paid.
So the last payment is bigger than the average payment the rest of the season.
You're incentivizing staying.
So you go, hey.
And making it punitive if you opt out.
So you go, hey, you want to play in the bowl game and make so-and-so? Yes. I'd love to do that. Thank you. So
it's why the guys who are like a top 5 overall pick are probably like, nah, I'm good because I'm going to make
a ton of money.
My agent's going to give me that money.
He'll give me the 60 grand or 80 grand or whatever that
I'm good. Yes.
So, but yes, in theory, a Grove collective contract is backloaded and then has other perks in it. So that is why a lot of people are playing in bowl games. Doesn't mean they hate each other. They might really want to play. Jackson Dart, I think, legitimately wants to play in this freaking football game.
Yeah, I do too.
Jackson wants to play.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that the guys wouldn't play without that, but that
is a part of it.
It's these things are not mutually exclusive.
We were given an example today of one player specifically where it goes, hey, you're going to make this if you play. You want to play? And he goes, yeah, I'll play. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Cool. It's part of the contract.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Pettis was going to get into the portal. No matter what, he was leaving. He was out. Ole Miss was cool with him out. And basically, instead of Micah being the one that went and did it first and announced it, they did it early and went, hey, just go ahead. We're all know you're out of here. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like he got his bagged up in a bag differently than somebody else and whatever. And
Micah's going to make money in the portal.
Micah's about to make a freaking fortune.
Like you'd be, I'll say it. I think Micah's going to push 7 figures.
Brian reported that on the board today, and he is incredibly well sourced on this, that it is very close to 7 figures.
In fact, I'll say it. I think when it's all said and done, he is going to get 7 figures to play somewhere next season.
He's a 3-year SEC starter at tackle with a big body.
And here's what I don't like about it.
Micah isn't far from the worst guy on that team. I've
never had anything other than respectable communication with him. And I just telling you.
It's true.
It's true. I don't like the narrative that gets out that he's a bad guy. I don't think that's fair. That's all. I don't like that. I don't know why. I'm not buddies with him. We don't have like some sort of deal or anything. I don't like that. I don't like the narrative that he's a bad kid. I think that's if anything, I think there were times this past season that they wanted to light a fire under him and make him a bad kid. Yeah, I mean,
if Tyler were the recruiting director of a school, they would not pay Micah Pettis 7 figures. I am very certain on that.
This is where you're starting to get into economics.
A lot of players who are not very good are about to make a lot of money.
Lane Kiffin said this a week ago.
He did.
And this is where you get into the economics of supply and demand. It's a simple economic principle: supply and demand. It is. You've got these schools, and a lot of them are doing the rev share thing now, starting July 1.
Which for a lot of them is actually giving them a piggy bank for the first time.
It is absolutely. Yeah, you don't even put any qualifiers on it. It is a budget for the.
Pettis got a really good SEC offer and has got a couple Texas offers, not the University of, but schools in Texas that are interested in him.
Again, I will stick with my prediction. I think he will ultimately get 7 figures.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, he's going to be awfully close.
Yeah.
What's up, caller? Is this Grind?
Yo, it's Grind, man. My goodness, 7 figures, and the way he holds, and the feet can't move. Damn.
Yep.
I mean, what would Tulsa have gotten? What would Learman Tulsa have gotten in this age?
Oh, wow.
Oh, dear God.
I mean, today, okay, I'll play along. $3 to $4 million.
Oh, my goodness.
You can disagree.
No, I'm thinking.
My feelings won't get hurt. Go ahead. I mean, I promise you, I won't get upset.
If he got in the portal
today with a year to play.
Yeah, after his sophomore year, the best tackle in football got in the portal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think $3 to $4 million?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Is there any
Laramie, whatever he wanted?
Is there any player that's in the top 5 of Ole Miss football history that you think, had they been in a climate like this, wouldn't have started and ended as an Ole Miss Rebel? Like Deuce McAllister or Laramie Thompson?
I guess it depends, Grind. Are we doing it from what Ole Miss was like as a team when they were here or now? Because, like, Patrick Willis, good luck keeping Patrick during Eddie O's 4-8 seasons. You're not going to do it.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But
like right
Willis
now,
today,
that's different because they're strong. You might go, by God, we're just paying our cultural icon that's on the field right now. That's different.
I mean,
it depends the situation that you're in from the team standpoint.
It just feels like kids are just missing the long view on this, man. Because like a kid, like if Quinshawn would have just started and finished the Ole Miss Rebel, you know how much cachet he would have had in Oxford?
Yeah.
Throughout his life?
Yes, tons.
Job whenever he needed it down the road, networking.
I mean, dude.
He was surrounded by this happens to all people, right? He was surrounded by a lot of people around him who gave him bad advice.
Yeah. And then when I
it would have been hard to keep Treadwell after 13.
It kind of was anyway.
Yeah.
But back then,
really, y'all think
you
so?
had to transfer a year.
Uh-huh.
Wasn't he from up north or somewhere? He wasn't from the south or something?
He's from Crete, Illinois, about 35 miles south of Chicago. I went to his Crete Monet.
Yeah, that's right.
I went to his announcement.
Wow, look at you, man.
Could
you imagine yourself
driver's license? What was it you forgot?
So I got to the Jackson airport and
You flew out of Jackson?
I flew out of Jackson.
Why? It doesn't matter. Go ahead. Sorry.
I can't remember why. It was the day after my birthday.
Uh-huh.
And my license had expired. They wouldn't let me fly. So I had to renew my license online before I could fly. But I didn't have a hard copy, and so I couldn't rent a car. And Edgy Tim, remember him? EdgyTim.com?
Yeah.
Covered preps in Illinois.
Uh-huh.
He picked me up in downtown Chicago and drove me to this thing.
It's a pretty damn nice guy right there.
Real good dude.
I mean,
but I had all sorts of stuff. I had huge stories ready to go. Well, I'll never forget about that grind is that it's like 5 minutes before the announcement starts. I'm already seated in this. I think it was in like the auditorium at their high school. It's a big, big high school. And my cell phone rings and I look down. I had it silenced. I look down and it's Hugh Freeze. And he goes, "Are you there?"
Oh, my.
And I'm like, "Yeah." "You're getting him, aren't you?" Because otherwise I will have a hard time living this one down.
If Treadwell goes Oklahoma State, baby,
Yeah.
okay.
I knew they were, but it was kind of freaked me out the way that he goes, "Are you there?" I was like, "Oh God, no, really?" He goes, "Yeah,
oh my goodness,
everything's good." I was like, "Oh, thank God."
Well, you thought everything was good in the Arkansas gym one time too. So I mean,
it was till it wasn't.
It was till it wasn't.
I can't imagine how good a kid would have to be now for you to go to his announcement outside of the state of Mississippi.
It'd have to be
I can't imagine.
It would have to be a really high 5-star kid, kind of like Laquan was.
Yeah, and
but because that year, I mean, frankly, looking back, we didn't do enough on Tunzel because he just didn't. It was weird. I mean, you talked to Beverly Kimdichie in the coffee shop for several hours, wherever that was. Was that in Atlanta?
It was in suburban Atlanta.
Okay, yeah, and then go into Laquan's thing.
Look at out here, man. You was out here earning your nickname, man. Scoops for real.
Yep.
Come on, man.
Yep. I sat down with Beverly Kimdichie for it was the Friday morning before Ole Miss at Georgia. And
was that what it was?
We sat in there and talked for like 3 hours. And I walked out of there and went, "It's time to write." And sat down and transcribed and wrote and published like at 4:30 that afternoon because
that's right.
Robert Kimdichie was absolutely going wherever Denzel was.
It did not matter.
He would have gone to Western Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. I got two things before I let you guys go. One, I think Jeff Lebby might be a good coach, but man, they're not able to keep their good players. As soon as Kevin Coleman hit the portal, I was like, I think
right now. They are diverting all the money from NIL to revenue sharing.
If I was the AD at Mississippi State after this Lebby thing fails, I would go and hire the coach at Army and just embrace that. You know, I'm not sure if their fan base would like that, but I think in this climate, man, that's the only way.
Can you run the
Mississippi State isn't?
See, I kind of respectfully disagree with you. So
Georgia Tech did it.
I sort of want to see what Mississippi State does once the money's there, once they actually have, if they actually have $16 to $20 million to work with. Does that change what they can put on the field? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know, but I would be inclined to wait and see, okay, what do they look like then? Because it feels like they're sort of punting on this 1 year to position themselves for when everything is completely ready to go in 2026.
Man, that's a hell of a punt, man. I mean, dude, they just went 3-9, whatever they went this year.
2-10.
And they're finna punt on another 2-10, and they finna punt on another season. Come on, man.
What else do you do?
Okay.
But it's almost like you're an expansion team. You're starting from nothing.
You go hire the coach that runs the triple option, so it doesn't matter how much money you have. It's more of a scheme. It just seems like, you know,
Yeah,
I
but
don't
you're
know,
going to
man.
get a different kind of. I mean, no offense to the fine young men in Starkville, but you're going to get a different kind of kid than you are at the United States Military Academy. You're gonna win some games at Army on culture, on toughness.
Didn't Paul Johnson take Georgia Tech to a Access Bowl running the triple option?
You're going to
He
win
actually
more.
beat, yeah, he beat,
I'm going to
he
win
beat that
more
Dak Prescott
games.
team.
I'm going to win more games at the United States Military Academy in this environment than I am running the triple option in the SEC.
Because you're not surprising anybody. They know it's coming. They've got film when Georgia.
And they're going to leave. Like you go to Army, you typically are not just at Army for football.
Okay, that is true. That is true.
The young, like there's a young man in town that are not. They're in Jackson,
super family,
who's going to Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to Air Force for more than just football. Like he's not going to just leave at the first. Hey, somebody offered me an extra $100K in NIL. There's a little bigger picture going on there. So you're going to get that at Army, at Navy, at Air Force. So that I don't know, man. I don't know that you can. I don't know that you can gimmick your way through.
Is State going to be patient enough to give Lebby 5 years and just get your head kicked in for 3?
I know nothing.
And then does it even matter how long you give him if every year he fires a Kevin Coleman and then the season after he's gone? Does it even matter?
Because they're getting it football. Here's the problem with this: when this rev share comes,
hell, Georgia,
SEC football,
at least Georgia Tech is
better.
keeping their players.
I know.
That's what's scary.
Yeah,
this league's only about to get freaking better.
I know. I'm the one that wrote the story last week.
So if you're not better and you're the same, you're getting your teeth.
Well, they just went 2 they went 0-8. They
it's like can't get worse. Toledo ran them out of the yard.
I mean, you're not getting worse. They are at rock bottom. You're not. I mean, and frankly, there's no difference between 2-10 and 1-11. It's the same record.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go worse in the league than 0-8. You can't go 0-8. Let's go 0-8.
Well, at what point are you just accepting your place as the doormat? I mean,
well, right now you're accepting it right now. I mean, what you're gambling is that once the money comes in, that you'll be able to somewhat level the playing field and you'll be able to go throw $20-something million at a payroll and put something together and catch lightning in a bottle and
everybody else has 30.
And what you're hoping is that if you're them, you're hoping that rev share levels the playing field to some degree and that there's donor fatigue elsewhere and that these programs that think they're going to have an additional 10 to 12 actually don't. That they actually only have 3 to 4.
Best case scenario for Mississippi State, I think, my opinion only, is that this thing levels the playing field enough that they become a developmental program that tries to win 7.5 games a year. I don't think their ceiling can get above that on an annual basis at this point.
Do you think their ceiling is equal to? You think it's equal to Georgia Tech?
You're in the SEC.
So I don't know whether what's Georgia Tech? Are they going to go full in on? I think they are. By the way, I just don't know, man. I don't know. I'm super reluctant based on just kind of what I'm seeing right now to go, okay, this is what the landscape's going to look like in 2 years. I don't know.
But who says when rev sharing, comes in that under the table paying, isn't going to come back? If everybody's able to pay the same.
I don't think it'll be under the table.
Says that,
I think it'll be over the table. I think you'll want to publicize that you're paying more.
I got a raise hand question. If I've got to do collective now and I got to do it in fair market value, why wouldn't I just pay under the table instead?
I mean, I guess, but who's doing that?
The people that were doing it before?
Yeah, but now they're part of the 20 million. They're part of.
Are they?
I don't know.
What about the part that aren't? Because if you're saying the Grove Collective is going to get 5 anyway, or whatever, we're just making up numbers. Can I not get 2 under the table from those same people who's given 5? It's not taxed.
I just.
It's tax free.
There's no market value. I'm just asking.
I mean, I get it. But and then let me.
Hey, your cousin got a.
Let my
can we get that car loan?
Hold on.
Okay,
allow my cynicism to kick in. This fair market value thing.
The NCAA's got a
Chase
over it right now.
Chase, I could walk in. Me and Lindsey Miller Esquire could go beat that.
I'm not arguing.
Okay,
they are pushing that narrative.
Me and Lindsey Miller Esquire and his knee brace could walk in and win that case.
That fair market value is a bullshit, basically.
1,000%. Fair market value being established.
Lindsey Miller could run his court record to 1-1
without player representation. You're establishing fair market value.
How many IQ difference? How many courtrooms have had a bigger difference than Lindsey versus Steve Freeze?
I'm sure there's been an example somewhere, but that was pretty extreme.
Okay.
Lindsey was a little over his skis.
My favorite part of that is I think Steve showed up simply because he went, "Hold on a minute, what? I got to see this. I'm just curious." Like it's fine. I don't know. I mean, I sat across the table from him and he goes, "They're gonna try." So they're gonna take one of these to court.
Okay.
They're gonna lose.
Yeah. I mean, okay. I'm not. I'm not particularly worried about that part of it.
If I were State, there was a part of me that would go, "Why don't we just give 7 to basketball and go try to win?"
They might.
Let's go try to win hoops. That's fun.
Sure, they might. I think you have to decide then. What is it? I'm not saying.
Can we get to 6 and 6, only giving 11 to football?
I'm going to tell you now, man, from a school who's been sucking at football but doing real good in basketball, but has football ingrained in the culture. It's hard to just overnight flip your switch to become a Duke fan base. It's not going to happen.
I agree.
It's not ingrained in.
Really hard, especially in this league.
It's not going to happen.
Well, and you've got all these. And I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm not saying they're right. I don't know, but you have all these schools that view football as such an important part of your student recruiting, as university morale, all of those things. I'm not sure that I completely buy that, but I'm the wrong person for that. I don't. If you don't have a connection to a school, I don't know that you can say that that's a real thing or it's not a real thing. So I sort of bow out. But that's a thing that people do. They do talk about. And so if that's the case at a place like Auburn, for example, they're never going to punt on. I've been around Auburn enough to know they're not punting on football.
Are y'all signing Malik Murphy to like a $9 million deal? What are you doing over there?
Bro, if he signed his grits, bro, he's dooming himself. Malik Murphy is not the answer.
No, you got Singleton.
I didn't even want to talk
You're
about
trying to
that.
package Dillon.
What about Jackson Arnold? What you think about Jackson Arnold? What's your take on Jackson Arnold grind?
What's the difference between Jackson Arnold and Deuce Knight?
Well, I mean,
one has 2 years of experience in a major conference.
One's a little older.
What experience? Okay, he beat Alabama in a game. You need to go get you a guy that you know for sure.
Been a minute since Hugh Freeze beat Alabama.
Dude, you need to go get you a guy that you know for sure can win 8 games at minimum.
So who can do that?
Well, Deuce Knight's doing that. Deuce Knight's
I don't think Deuce
you 8 games next year. I'm gonna flat tell you that.
No, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Don't go get Jackson Arnold. You need you a guy better than that. You need you a proven guy.
Who?
Man, you might need to go to Atlanta and just offer Haynes King whatever. That's what you need to do, honestly. That's what you really need to do. You need to make Haynes King say no, honestly.
Hugh has to get that boy how many games to not be fired next year, Grind?
However many games it takes to get into the playoff.
He can't make the freaking playoff.
See, this is where
See, I was going to ask y'all a whole different question about SEC basketball.
Let me talk to my guy.
Get off the air.
Hold on, Grind.
Hold on.
This is where you've never lived a day in that state. I'm not criticizing, but you don't understand. You don't.
They don't have a chance in hell.
You're completely out of your league on this one.
It just doesn't matter. So he's fired, is what you say.
Well, basically, this is the situation he put himself in, man. All he had to do was find a quarterback to go get him 7-8 wins this season, and he wouldn't be in his situation. He's basically the guy that's been with the crazy chick. She's kind of hot, but he forgot her birthday, and so now instead of just getting a normal birthday present that would do, no, you got to plan the trip to Dubai. We got to go out to country. You got to do something extravagant.
9 times out of 10, it would have worked. Look, if he doesn't make the playoffs, it means he lost to Georgia. It means he lost to Alabama. He's 0-6 in those games. Nope.
At minimum, he has to go 9-3. At minimum.
He caught the break of all time the other night. I mean, Hugh Freeze caught a break the other night when Clemson won that game.
Yes.
Because otherwise, Alabama makes the playoff, and it ratchets it up even more.
I mean, their schedule's not that bad, really, but
it's just playoff talk all over here and out. Yeah, he called a major break.
Hugh has this weird 4-week. I know we're reading schedules in December, but it's Henry's guys.
We literally don't know who their quarterback's going to be.
Hold on, though.
Okay.
I know nothing about any of these teams. But, dude, the pressure on a bye week, if Hugh Freeze on September the 20th loses in Norman, Oklahoma,
okay,
and then on September the 27th, a week later, loses in College Station, and then has a bye week before Georgia. Dear God. Dude.
No, you gotta beat one of them at home this year. You got to.
Hugh's path. If Neal is correct, and I'm not doubting him, I'm saying just if that is correct, he has to beat Oklahoma or A&M, and then he has to beat Georgia or Alabama and go 10-2.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then that is cool. Sweet. And by the way, don't lose Waco to Baylor in the opener. That would not be a preferable thing.
Yeah, and stop all this getting tripped up stuff. No,
I mean,
I know that's in your DNA.
Well, you hadn't been around Hugh enough. Like the tripped up thing's just kind of a trademark. Like that.
I saw him lose at Memphis
with a reverse pass and a Robert Kimdichie
He's already lost to New Mexico State and Cal at home. I mean, let's can we not act like Waco's a gimme? Thank you.
He's already lost to Cal, New Mexico State, and Vanderbilt at home.
At home.
I mean,
and
Cal
Arkansas.
Is an ACC
lost
school.
Arkansas at home too.
You got to go to Arkansas again this year.
Dude, all I'm saying is those, like, if those games are whatever, because out of Sam Pittman, Mark Stoops, and Hugh Freeze, I know the resource. One of those guys has way more resources than the other. When I can look at player, the players that you're getting through recruiting rankings and whatnot. So no, dude, if it's not even the fact that you suck, it's the fact that you're on the level. We're putting up this kind of money with a roster, and you're on the level of basically the Mississippi State and Kentucky. No, come on, man. Come on. You can't, no. And so you got to make up for that. You got to make up for these past 2 years being real lackluster. Because I don't know. It's weird, in my opinion. I think the heat is going to heat up from the media soon, but it's weird how his seat should be hotter from, like, the JGs and everybody else of the Auburn sphere. But I'm gonna give you guys one question, but I want you guys to think about it. But I'm gonna get your answer off the air. If I gave you the option between taking to win the NCAA tournament, I can either give you any SEC team at +800 or the field at +1200. Which would you choose? And the field would be Kansas, UConn, Houston, teams like that.
Yeah, basketball.
So yeah, and NCAA men's tournament. Now, take the answer. Appreciate you guys taking my call.
All right, so he wants okay, we take SEC teams to win the NCAA basketball title. So we get the 12, 10, 8, how many ever get in?
Yeah. So I get Alabama, Auburn,
at
Tennessee.
+800. I mean, if we put 500 on it, we get $4,000. We get $1,200 plus $1,200 on the field. So we take the field, we'd get $6,000 off a $500 bet.
So with the field, I'm going to get Kansas. I'm going to get Duke. I'm going to get UConn. Going to get Creighton.
I'm taking the field, but I'd be just because the odds are better.
The odds are better, but I'm trying to think. I'm getting Alabama, Auburn,
Tennessee,
and I'm getting 3 juggernauts right there.
I mean, you're getting some dudes,
and then I'm getting 3 or 4 teams that I think could actually get hot enough to make a legitimate run. Kentucky, Florida. I mean, I'm probably taking the field, but boy, that Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee trifecta,
I'm just taking the better odds. I think it's literally an even bet, and you're giving me +400 more.
It's probably true.
Had you flipped the 800 and 1,200, I'd go the other way just for the more money.
Probably true. I think that's
okay.
Right.
Tyler's getting on me a little bit in the stream. Says no one has any clue. Remember, Florida was going to be a dead man walking in November. I said, yes or no, are they making the playoffs?
Is DJ Lagway going to transfer to Auburn?
And he goes, playoffs, public playoffs. Who's even going to be the quarterback? How many games do they win this year if they had a quarterback? Yes or no, is Florida going to be a dead again this November? It's not the same thing. 7-5 and playoffs are totally different things.
We're in Tyler's weak spot here.
Auburn's not making the damn playoffs.
Tyler's this is a compliment to Tyler, but this is his area that he's not going to go. When you start talking about firing coaches, he kind of goes John Gruden on you.
No, I know roster predicting is impossible. He might be way better. Still ain't making the playoffs.
I don't know. He might. I don't know what his roster is going to look like at the end of this. Because listen, a bunch of guys that are going to be in the portal are not in the portal yet.
He's going to lose a game he's not supposed to, and you can't do that and make the playoff when you have Georgia and Alabama on your schedule.
I'm with you. I'm just saying that the whole roster part is no one knows what.
Nobody knows any of that.
Because there's a whole bunch of guys that are not in the portal.
We are predicting helmet decals right now.
Yeah, there are a whole bunch of guys that are not in the portal right now that are going to be in the portal the moment their bowl game ends.
Yeah, and in April.
Yeah. So how does the portal work this time? Is there a close to the portal and then we reopen it?
I don't know. You asked me that this morning, and I still don't have an answer.
Okay.
Did I miss where Indiana plays Alabama and Georgia? Did I miss that? Siski says Indiana wasn't going to be in the playoffs either. I missed that their schedule included at A&M, at Oklahoma, Georgia, Alabama.
Yeah. I mean, Auburn would love to go at Purdue.
Yeah, I mean.
Northwestern at home.
Yes, if Auburn would like to join the Big Ten, they got a shot. Got a good chance.
Need to avoid a couple. Need to get that Indiana schedule. But yeah.
Auburn would work most of the ACC. We'd beat the hell out of Boston College. I don't know. Maybe. Depends what the quarterback is.
Do I think an SEC team hires Deion Sanders in the next 2 years? Probably not.
Nah. But he has fixed his situation
Done
now.
a hell of a job now.
Yeah.
And
ADs are no longer scared of him.
Hey, he's got Williams Nowari today. I mean, look at him. He played 50 snaps at Mizzou, made $500,000, just lands at Nebraska after one season. There's rumors that my boy might have tripled his pay. Come on. Yeah, who knows what Deion could do. All of a sudden, those Big 10, Big 12 schools throwing the money around.
Well, it's probably just a coaching issue. Had nothing to do with the player.
No.
We're going to fix it.
They're going to fix it.
We can fix it.
Yeah. I mean, Missouri can't coach. Can't develop players at Missouri.
We kind of had this thought on the board, though. I was laughing to myself, and then you chimed in earlier today. Somebody asked me on the board to pro and con Keith and Ross, and I chuckled to myself thinking where Ole Miss would be in the portal NIL era if Jeffrey Vitter was the chancellor. He would be the most uncomfortable human and would disrupt everything in a negative way. He would be a complete clown car for you guys in every capacity. I mean, just.
You know, I kind of reached an agreement with Vitter, and so I sometimes I feel like I'm violating.
Did y'all have a conversation?
We did.
Did you really?
We did. Oh yes.
When did you talk to Vitter?
What year was that? 17?
Oh, you mean like before he left?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
We've made fun of him since then.
Yeah, I've been
Statute of limitations is over. It's 24.
Yeah, no, I just kind of feel
it's almost 25.
Sometimes I feel like I'm violating the deal if I.
This is not a defense of Ross, but Ross had Vitter. If Ross has Boyce,
he's a much better.
It's
AD.
a different situation.
Yeah, for sure. Keith would not be as good of an AD probably had he had Vitter.
Yeah, I mean,
because the voices, for example,
Vitter fired a basketball coach without talking to the AD. Make fun of all the PowerPoint stuff you want to.
I'm trying to live up to the deal. We had an agreement. Ross
didn't know.
Andy knew.
Well, thanks. I'm aware of that. I'm aware.
Andy was aware.
Vitter thought because he taught at Kansas, he knew basketball. This is true.
Yeah. I mean, Kansas is good at basketball typically. Makes sense.
The provost doesn't run zone.
Just telling you. Osmosis and everything. If you're around greatness, you might absorb some of it. He was at Kansas. Bill Self. Rock chalk.
He hit into people during a charity golf tournament one time, or somebody get really, really pissed off at him. It was one of the funnier things. Vitter. Actually, a decent stick.
Vitter
You wouldn't expect that.
Oh, yeah.
Could hit a golf ball.
Okay.
Not a bad golfer. Mm-hmm.
Good for him.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm trying to fulfill the deal. I've done really good on it.
To beat Ole Miss in the portal, all you have to do is put up the picture of him throwing the balls up in the air. Go, this guy runs the whole place.
Well, he would have stopped the Lane Kiffin hire in its tracks.
Oh, there'd been no chance.
He does
Kiffin nor Beard would be hired on your campus right now.
No chance.
No chance.
No chance.
Your coaches now.
Too many powerful voices in that 24 hours would have stopped it.
Your coaches right now would be Elijah Drinkwitz, and then whoever the basketball hire would have been, Dusty May or whoever the hell it would have been at that point. I don't know.
Where's Dusty now? Indiana?
Michigan, right? No.
Is he at Michigan?
Did he go to Michigan? Did he go to Michigan?
Oh, that's right. He coached in that Arkansas game the other night.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was mainly paying attention to the Thunder. It was on the secondary screen.
Okay. I don't see Boyce doing a hostage video, is all I'm saying.
No.
I don't see that playing out that way.
That was a hell of a video.
I mean, all we missed was a newspaper in front of him with a date on it. It's literally all we were missing.
Merry Christmas, Jeffrey. I'm being nice. We're all good. Everything's fine.
There for a while, he did a blog on Oyster Po' Boys. He would review
Since he left Ole Miss?
Maybe even while he was here, but yeah, he had a big he did a blog for a while on his favorite Oyster Po' Boys. That was a big thing for Vitter.
I like oyster po' boys. They're good. I prefer shrimp.
Had hell broken loose at one point, I do think there was a chance Jamie Chadwell would have been an Ole Miss coach.
Yeah.
I think there is a butterfly effect world.
There's a world where that happens. I mean, there's definitely a world where Dave Doran's the coach.
Well, that didn't even take a butterfly.
In fairness to Ross, he was going to hire Dave Doran. And in that moment, it would have been a good hire. It would have.
Yeah, stable hire. No problems.
Dr. Vitter kind of put a stop to that. He wasn't alone, but he
Tyler says he did a number on recruiting, travel, logistics, which is really ironic because nobody loved using the company plane more than Vitter. That sumbitch ran the miles up. I mean, he never saw a flight he didn't like.
I refuse to be critical. It's going to be fine. Me and we had. We're simpatico.
Yeah, Vitter was from New Orleans. I'm not making fun of the Oyster Po' Boy thing. I'm not really making fun of anything. I'm just saying he would not have handled the NIL era very well.
I would imagine he makes a very good Oyster Po' Boy.
I have no doubts. He's very well traveled, well cultured.
Absolutely. Lived in Kansas for a while. His brother was a senator. Isn't that right?
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
David?
I can't recall, but I think that sounds right.
Is that correct?
I'm not willing to stake my life on it or anything, but I think that's right. Yeah, it's very...
Siski said sometimes he took flights with no one on them.
Well, sometimes you have to get someplace. I will, I'm not going to sit here and rip Dr. Vitter. I'm not.
Is it ripping to just recall accuracies?
I don't know. You all it feels like you're attacking Dr. Vitter, and don't think you should.
Who should we attack?
Not him. I mean, he's a nice man.
I don't think he's starting to sue you.
Oh no. We have a gentleman's agreement.
Do you think you will ever speak to Jeffrey Vitter again in your life?
I would highly doubt it.
Okay.
Highly doubt it. I don't think his wife liked him.
I think this was the
much.
first year he didn't wish me happy birthday on Facebook.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he never wished me a happy birthday. I think his wife wished me some things, but I don't think it was happy birthday.
It was not happy birthday?
I don't think so.
What was he mad at you about?
Oh, a lot of things.
Was he really?
Yeah.
He just didn't fit. It just didn't
It's
fit.
funny. That's what he told me. And he wasn't alone either. Oh, shoot. Fit's a complicated word. 3 letters, complicated.
He is saying Dr. Vitter a lot right now.
No, Jeffrey.
You're like the New York Times. We only use the Mr. and the.
I'll call him Jeffrey. Jeff.
I think he goes by Jeff much. Feels like a Jeffrey.
What was Andy calling? The balls.
Gumballs.
Yeah, Captain.
Chancellor Jumballs.
Chancellor Gumballs.
Yes.
I'm not under a gag order. It's a gentleman's agreement.
What is Grind asking? What are y'all's thoughts on the Mike Norvell-Gus combo at FSU? Does it get turned around under Mike? Would they promote Gus?
I don't think Gus wants to be a head coach again.
I don't think they would ever promote Gus.
I think Gus wanted to get away from that and just go coach offensive football. Listen, if you don't have to get serious for a minute, if you don't have a really good staff of analysts, this is where Ole Miss is ahead of the curve. It's where Lane's ahead of the curve. If you don't have a really good collection of analysts, and if you don't have some people who are willing to be disciplined as it pertains to valuations, this thing you can be a really smart guy, and this thing can get away from you.
With the numbers where they are, if you make even 1 or 2 emotional decisions, you have bankrupted yourself immediately.
You have a chance to really get burned. Like standing right next to the fire and just like putting your hand.
Ole Miss's success is not because they have a budget far and away higher than everyone else. It's because they're unemotional and they're very strategic in how they are putting a roster together.
And they have learned from a couple of mistakes.
Yes. Including one very obvious one from last season.
Yeah, I mean, they have made mistakes. They're not immune to mistakes. You make mistakes. It's why I think Kiffin and other coaches, I've heard Kirby basically say this. It's just a really, it's a really incendiary way potentially to build a roster. It's difficult. And then the other part that you have to do, we'll probably talk about this sometime soon, or maybe write about it soon. The other big part of what you have to do when you're managing a program is that you have to be very good at retention. And those are decisions that have to be made rationally and not emotionally. Because you can love a kid, think the kid's a great kid, think the kid has a great family, respect how hard the kids worked for you and practiced and all of those things, and yet think, he's not worth what we're paying him. So there's a lot there. And then you've got to make decisions when one of your players gets offers elsewhere, and they all do. Everybody tampers. I've said this 1,000 times. You're tampering with their rosters, and they're tampering with yours.
One of the best things Ole Miss has done from last season to this season, and where they appear to be on track to make them very competitive for next season, is keeping the players they want to keep.
Yeah.
Not being crushed by defections.
Yeah, but understanding, and hey, there might come a time when the price is too much. You do have to put a valuation on people, but especially people coming out of the portal. You've got to make valuations, not just evaluations. You got to do those too, but you have to do a valuation.
He is worth this. Period.
That's what he's worth, and if somebody else goes above that, you have to let it go.
And he could be worth to somebody else more than he's worth to you because of who's already on your roster, whose spot they're taking.
Fit.
How does that feel? Fit.
Could be a different fit at a different place. Could be a totally different fit at Missouri than he is at Ole Miss.
Especially skill players.
Yeah. Sure.
And look, one of the problems they had this past year was running back, obviously, and running back maybe is the hardest position to move up a level or figure out how to evaluate. I mean, they probably had to figure that out right now with Mont Hardy's on campus. Is he Rashad Amos, or is he the dude that can really play at this level?
Yeah.
Did he get 1,300 yards at ULM because he's really, really good, or because he's in the Sun Belt?
And like Auburn's recruiting him also, right? Mm-hmm. Auburn might evaluate him differently.
And they got a face-to-face with him at least.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And maybe you'll be right, maybe you'll be wrong. Maybe they'll be right, maybe they'll be wrong. But you have to believe in your valuations and stick to them. Because you don't really have like New York Mets money. You're not Cohen where you're just like, hey, we'll give you what do you want? Take it.
That dude's balance sheet.
Damn. He just kept throwing money at him.
The Yankees offered whatever the hell that was, $700 and something million.
$760.
And they were $4 million less per season than the Mets.
Did you see where he blamed it on some of his Yankee teammates were Trump guys? He blamed it on politics today. Yep. Said that a couple of his Yankees teammates came into the clubhouse wearing MAGA stuff.
And that's why he turned down $760 million.
That was offensive to him. He met with Francisco Liriano and was more comfortable with his political views.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Sourcing on that is Scott Boras talking to reporters.
Okay.
Yep. I'll tell you this about baseball. It might not be popular, but financially it appears to be quite healthy.
I was going to make that point on the show the other day is that all we talk about with baseball and not knowing the damn players, and yet the money just...
Damn. I mean, obscene amounts of money.
Well, regionally, it's as strong as ever. I mean, you don't have to be good nationally. You got to be good in your market. There's a difference. And that's where you are at this point. I mean, it's a juggernaut.
Laughing at Carson's text. Sorry.
See, North Carolina's using the hashtag Chapel Bill today.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if you're going to do it, steer all the way into it. I mean, if I'm hand-raised guys in the room, I'm like, if we're doing this, let's do it.
Yeah.
All the way. This is not a moment to tiptoe into the water. Nope. Cannonball right into the deep end.
Speaking of Ross earlier, that came about because he told some reporter today they just need to de-emphasize the game against Michigan. And that's one of those that is not wrong, but it is one of Ross's negatives is that he's a completely by-the-book AD.
Yeah.
And he doesn't factor in the emotion and the pageantry and the fandom that goes with it sometimes. And while he's correct, they got to get that out. They've got to get out of their heads. That's not what the fan base is wanting to hear today is, well, we just need to make it matter less. That is not the answer. That's not it.
I should call him and say that's Bush League.
Yeah, that is it's not it. We just care too much. You guys just stop caring. Again, he's right. They're in their heads about it. But
yeah, my advice would be just beat them. Win the damn game. It's funny, he didn't take that advice himself when he was at Ole Miss against Mississippi State. He took the bait. Remember that state was like, please engage. And he was like, okay.
It's true. The video board and the whole thing.
Yeah, went all in. Tweeted the egg everywhere.
What was the game that day where they had Tuberville do the Are You Ready on the screen and they auctioned off a Dak helmet at the game?
Texas A&M.
Was it Texas A&M?
2017.
Okay.
I got home that night and intended to pour a bourbon and go to bed. It had been a day. And my phone blew up with Dave Doran. Remember that?
That was that week?
That was that night.
I didn't remember that being that night.
Yep. We were about to podcast on Monday and we got that call. Remember that? Early? How come you're the only people writing about Dave Doran?
Oh, that's right.
I said, I have no idea why other people are not writing something. They were all working on Mike Shula.
They were just ahead of their time. He's at Carolina now.
New offensive coordinator with Lenore Sellers.
Matt was almost at Carolina back in the day.
Does Rocket Sanders have another year?
I don't know. I don't remember why they were auctioning a Dak helmet, but there was something to do with the Dak helmet, right?
Yeah,
I'm not dreaming that,
No,
right?
there was a Dak helmet.
Okay. I don't know.
It was a Cowboys helmet, but yes.
Oh, it was a Cowboys helmet?
Yeah.
Okay. What was the reason?
I mean, they were trying to raise money for
what, though?
I don't know. And then Tommy Tuberville did the halftime "Are You Ready?" That didn't go over well.
They've come a long way in some ops situations.
They've come a little ways. That didn't go well. I mean, it would have been better off with me and Houston Nutt doing the "Are You Ready" together at that.
Tyler,
moment.
I'm sorry wherever you are. I apologize. I'm sorry. That game. There are like 5 or 6 moments from just that entire period of time where you go, "Oh my God."
Yeah. Yep.
How far Ole Miss has come, seriously.
Yeah.
You had to become a normal program again, and then you had to become a good program. There were steps.
My beef with Ross. I mean, we had our moments, and we generally got along. But I was working on that story. Ole Miss was going to Kentucky, early November of 2017. And I was doing a story about
the DK game.
The Ole Miss job. Yeah, the DK game.
Okay.
And I'm doing a story about the Ole Miss job. And getting people to talk about a job with their names on it was impossible. And I granted everyone anonymity. And I called Ross to tell him, hey, this story's coming out, and here's what I did.
Kentucky of 17.
Yeah. And we talked about the story. And
so Matt is in his interim season.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not going great. They just blown the game against Arkansas or somebody. And I'm like, hey, there's no world where he gets it, right? Because I'm not writing about Matt. I don't want to pile on Matt.
He's the interim, right?
Caroline and Matt's nephew, not nephew, Caroline and Matt's niece are really tight. They're still tight to this day. I had dinner with her recently.
Yeah, really like the Luke family.
There's no animus here. I'm trying to be respectful.
Yeah.
Oh, no. You're good. What did everybody say? We talked about stuff. And then.
But I mean, even going into the state game, it still was.
And so then I'm having, when Matt gets the job, I'm like, listen, you need to know this. Like, the reason I didn't write about you was not because it was because I was told.
Well, and even then,
and now I'm having to be like, and I don't really want to tell you who my sources are, but
even that was all kind of presented weirdly too. Like Matt gets it, and I think Ross compared him to John Vault in the introductory press conference, and he was like, okay, just stop. Right?
I don't remember.
Am I correct in this?
That was a day that I just don't remember.
Okay.
I got in the car after that and drove to Montgomery.
Did you?
And all I could, for the All-Star thingy, and all I could think about was, this is not going to go well for me, because I spent the whole month of November writing about all
Ross
these
had a
other
plane
people.
set to go get Dave.
I know. I had that story. Remember? I had details. That wasn't helping my feelings on that Monday.
But if Doran's hired, Kiffin's not the coach today.
No.
Because he would have stabilized
might
enough.
Still be Dave Doran.
Because you get into COVID and then.
Well, Dave would have gotten COVID, and who knows what would have happened.
Dave might have been fired this year.
We got to remember, Dennis died.
He talked to the Illinois professor.
Yep.
It was the Illinois professor that said dozens of football players are going to die.
Yeah. Let's have a moment of silence for those players.
Yes, the 2019 Egg Bowl changed everything. I mean, that story of all the different butterfly effect coaching changes off of that
is wild.
Everything because of one pee in the end zone.
Quick use, never a thing. Right,
That's
Tyler?
A good point.
He's like, I hate you so much right now. But it's worked out for Tyler. It worked out for a lot of people. Worked out for Ross. He's now the AD at Ohio State, giving a vote of confidence to Ryan Day just 10 days before the big game. Worked out for Vitter. It's back in New Orleans. Much better oyster po' boy scene in New Orleans than there is in Oxford. It's truth. I mean, you listen. You can't find a oyster po' boy in Oxford and in New Orleans. I mean, you can't basically go a block without finding one. So if that's your thing,
that's just your opinion.
You're better off in. Okay, if I say to you, right? If I say to you, hey, your goal in life is to live in a place that has great oyster po' boys. That's all I tell you. Are you picking Oxford or New Orleans? He's in a better place. All of these people fell forward.
He is. He ended up at Tulane. Yeah. Yeah, Tower's a media member now. He is.
Yeah.
A podcaster, interviewer.
Yeah.
We'll get you a press pass. Put your picture on it.
How would Kiffin have fared in Fayetteville compared to Oxford? I mean,
they would have more NIL today than they do.
Be better than they are.
Yeah.
Probably significantly better. Or he'd have left. Or both.
Yeah, Siski's a Bjork fan.
I get it. I would be too.
Big Ross guy.
Yeah, absolutely. If I were him, I'd be a big Bjork fan also.
I like Ross.
I like Ross fine. We get along. Not like you. I mean, we're not buddies.
I haven't talked to him since whatever the hell
year
that
club
was.
buddies. But
I've told you this last time. I haven't talked to him since 2023, I don't think.
Oh, has it been 2 years? Y'all okay?
I mean, maybe probably not. He probably gets some. I mean, he declined comment last time I talked to him.
He finally pushed too far.
I have not talked to him since January of 22.
Oh, wow.
It's been almost 3 years.
That's a falling out.
Yeah, I asked him something, and he says, hey, good to hear from you. Honestly, it's probably best I sit this one out. I won't finish the rest of the paragraph. But
breaking, Parham, Bjork have falling out.
I mean, I think he would take the call if I called. I don't think the SEC got shafted because that helps ratings around the country. But I do think that is true. SEC region is more likely to watch Big Ten football than Big Ten region is to watch SEC football.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, CBS has shown us that. Their ratings went in the damn tank.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Now, they also were going head up against SEC games in that ABC time slot at 2:30.
But they used to go up against SEC. There were things that went up against SEC games on CBS.
We are not going to call Ross on air right now. No, we're not going to do that.
The whole his side of the story thing is bothersome to people still.
This is not one of those, well, who's the guy on your phone? Let's call him on air things. This is not one of those.
No. Content creator. That's what Tyler is. Content creator. He's good at it.
If I did tell you to call the most important sports person in your phone right now, who would you call? Who would it be?
No, I can't answer that.
You can't answer that?
Well, no. The most important sports person.
Oh, well,
on my
never
phone.
mind. I know who you were thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
But other than him?
Famous.
Oh.
Because famous and important are different things.
I don't even know. I don't think I have that many famous. I don't know. I don't know what people. My version of famous and somebody else's version of famous is probably different. Hey, who's this?
Hey, Steve from Greenville.
Hey, Steve. What's up,
Steve?
Hey, I was just curious about something. I've been thinking about the playoffs. 10-2 is what Ole Miss should have gotten. Let's say that Ole Miss beats Florida and Alabama doesn't lose to Oklahoma.
Yep.
Paint me a scenario where Ole Miss, Alabama, and Tennessee, all three get in. Who gets left out that made it?
SMU.
Hold on. So they're being punished for losing the championship game?
Yes.
Because they would have already been behind them to begin with. They wouldn't have been – Ole Miss would have been above SMU and Indiana in the final regular season poll.
Yep.
But I thought the committee said they weren't going to punish
I
anybody
don't give
for
a
losing.
damn what the committee said. SMU would be out today.
Well, no, they wouldn't. They would already be out anyway.
Yeah, because
these
they
teams would have been ahead of them.
Yeah, they wouldn't have had. You got to remember. Forget what all they said. All they said was just word salads and word pretzels. There was no meat. There was no meat on that bone at all.
But I don't. But I think what you're missing is like where they would have been ranked had those two games not happened. SMU would never have been ahead of them to begin with. Yeah. Alabama and Ole Miss would have been ahead. So when they lose the conference championship game, they just don't get credit for it, and they stay there.
The narrative would have been this is a play-in game.
The winner's in.
It would have been the same narrative that the Big 12 game was, where it was understood that the winner's in and the loser's out.
Okay, that's one spot. Where's the other one coming from?
I think you would have seen a lot of teeth gnashing over it, but I think you would have seen Ohio State pay a bigger price for its loss to Michigan. I think Tennessee would have been.
If there was a team SEC at 10-2 in trouble, it was the Vols.
It was the Horns.
Well, because here's the reason I say this, Steve. Okay, like let's do a snap. I got a snapshot. All right. The day that the rankings before Ole Miss and Alabama lost that weekend, Alabama was 7 and Ole Miss was 9. So there's no way they are winning out and falling from 7 and 9 to 11, 12 or further out. Because if you're in the top 10, you're guaranteed inclusion. So Tennessee would have been the one in trouble in this scenario.
That's what I was thinking.
It was them.
Tennessee, there was no way to get all three of them in there.
Indiana would have been hurt more by Ohio State when they lost to Ohio State. Ohio State would have been hurt a little more by Michigan. I'm doing the math because Miami's out to Boise, SMU. Your only path to get everybody in, well, it's easy. Well, one of them's in for sure because it's SMU. It would have become an Indiana-Tennessee battle for the last spot, in my opinion.
I think so, too.
I think that's what it would have been.
All of a sudden, Indiana's schedule would have been a problem.
Yeah, Indiana and Tennessee would have been the two in the biggest amount of trouble.
Okay.
So you're right. Maybe a 10-2 does get left out, and it's Tennessee. Crazy world, but
yeah,
it would not have been Alabama and Ole Miss. Nope, they were locked in, done.
They were in.
If Ole Miss wins out, I can quickly do the math. Ole Miss would have been the 7 seed and had a home game.
Yeah.
All right.
The cost there. Because I'm looking at the rankings from the day that they lost.
Yeah. Ole Miss would have been the 7, and they would have played
the 10.
The 10, and then had they won, they would have played the 2 somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
One last thing. I thought, because Neal's been talking about lawsuits lately, who would get sued if the SEC and the Big Ten broke away?
Yeah.
It would be the attorney generals of the states that didn't have a team in those conferences and the other conferences suing.
Who would they sue? The SEC and the Big Ten? SEC and the Big Ten through the leagues?
Yeah, I had dinner with a law professor at MC the other day, and we were discussing it, and he said what it would come down to is 9 nerds on a court in Washington, D.C. deciding the SEC's fate. Said you'd have the 3 liberal justices siding with the other conferences. Kavanaugh would be 50-50, and then you just need one guy to switch, not like the SEC or Big Ten, and then the SEC and the Big Ten are just another conference.
Take them a minute to get to the Supreme Court. They wouldn't have gotten there in a week.
No, it would eventually get there.
Yeah.
And he said with so many states getting left out, he said Congress would probably get involved at that point, at least on some level. How effective, who knows? And the the presidents of the schools in those 2 conferences would be pariahs among the other conference members.
Yeah.
Socially.
I'd still take my chances. But yeah, socially they'd lose some invitations to some of the cocktail parties.
Yeah, and you know how important those cocktail parties are.
They're nice. Are you kidding? I mean, you get a martini. You ever had a really good martini? I mean, you get a good martini, that's a different deal. Get to have one of those little finger sandwiches. Get to talk to other smart people.
Vodka or gin?
Well, Well, we laughed.
Good gin.
You know, the
Or vodka.
Pac-12 broke up because Stanford had a professor that said they deserved $55 million of school. And that's documented.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, they wanted to get invited to Stanford's parties.
think about how many finger sandwiches you could buy for $55 million.
Yeah.
Cucumber sandwiches and stuff. Those are nice. Little.
All right, guys. I enjoyed the show today.
A little bit of like.
Thanks, Steve.
Gouda.
Appreciate you calling every week.
Thanks, Steve.
Bye.
All right, I got to start shutting it down. I got to get to Horn Lake here soon.
What time are you leaving?
Within the 15, 20 minutes.
Within the hour?
Within the quarter hour, I suspect.
Philadelphia has a place that has a $120 Philly cheesesteak.
Oh.
It's got like truffles and all kind of stuff in it.
I don't think I could enjoy that at that point. It's a lot of money for a
But it'd be
cheesesteak.
really good.
It would be delicious, I'm sure.
But you wouldn't enjoy it because of the price.
You would be
go,
thinking, unless you just
because
have,
it's just a sandwich.
yeah, I mean, come on.
The one I got for like $17, I was more than pleased with.
Yes, that's different.
Oh, great.
Was it amazing?
Yeah, it was good. What I did was I was going, the amount of sandwiches here that I can barely get for $17 with a combo, and yet in Philly I get the real Philly cheesesteak, this huge sandwich.
Yeah.
And it came with chips and a drink for like $17.50 or something.
That's
And I was
sweet.
like,
there you go.
all day.
How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you hurt feelings a minute ago with the 7 seed talk. But that's what it would have been. Be a little different. A little different tone today. December the 12th.
Yeah.
8 to 9 days before the game. A little different tone.
Okay.
All right, we'll wrap it there. Appreciate everybody for spending some time with us here on Thursday. We will make this the Friday Blue Sky Live. Again, our thanks to our friends at Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. Don't forget, if you're it's cold, it's getting cold tonight. I think the low tonight in Horn Lake's in the upper 20s. So if you're in Horn Lake and your heater's on the fritz, you need to get in touch with the friends at Southern, 662-429-4429, or you can get in touch with my guys at Comer Heating and Air. Yeah, Carson, to prove that Carson's right.
Yep.
He said a minute ago, he said, game hasn't started, but the girls are 100% mercy ruling. Horn Lake girls might be the worst team I've ever seen warm up, and it's already 7-0.
7?
Yeah.
Oh.
First 17 minutes. So,
okay.
So, again, thanks to Comer and Southern. We will be back next week with another week of podcasts here at MPW Digital. For Chase, I'm Neal. Take care.